Hello everyone and welcome to another video. This time we are looking at the Barry Scrapyard story. In 1955, British Railways announced the modernisation plan. This would see the replacement of all steam locomotives by diesel trains. There were far too many steam locomotives for BR's works to cope with, so scrapyards were contracted to break up the steam locomotives. One of the yards chosen was Woodhams of Barry in Wales. On the 25th of March 1959, the first locos were dispatched to Barry. GWR 260s numbers 5312, 5360, 5392 and 5397, with Prairie Tank 3170 arriving a week later. Between 1959 and 1968, 297 locomotives were purchased by Woodhams. Most of these were Great Western designs, and these were stored, or most of them rather, were stored on sidings at Barry Docks. Barry Docks having been very big for coal exports, but by this point in the 1950s and 60s, the coal exports had pretty much dried up, so the docks were just sat there not really doing a lot. So Di Woodham decided he would use the docks to store the steam locomotives on. However, Di Woodham soon decided to concentrate on cutting up the wagons, as he found them easier to cut up and more profitable than the locomotives, plus also it meant that once the wagon contracts finished as well, he had 2 or 3 years worth of work cutting up the locos. So this meant that by the end of steam in 1968, there were over 200 locomotives at Barry that the preservationists were able to buy one by one and save from the scrapyard. In total, 213 locomotives ended up being saved from Barry. Now, not all of these are being used, have been restored. Not all of them will be, but the majority of those which are not in the process of restoration or haven't already been restored are being used as a source of spare parts, either for other locomotives or as the basis of new builds as well. On the 10th of February 1979, the Barry Steam Locomotive Action Group, or BSLAG, was formed to put potential purchasers and Woodhams in touch with each other, as well as financial contributors. BSLAG also undertook basic surveys of the locos to establish what condition they were in. The last 2 locomotives to be broken up at Barry in 1980 were BR9F 92085 and Great Western 5101 class 4156. This was because at the time there were not many wagons contracts. Also in 1980, the Environmental Health Department said no locomotive could leave the yard without having had the asbestos lagging round the boilers being dealt with, either removed or covered up. Di Woodham died in 1994 and the last locomotives left the yard soon afterwards. Nothing's left of the scrapyard today, the site now containing a supermarket and a housing estate. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this look at Barry Scrapyard. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in a future video.